Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions.
Namaste, bienvenidos, amados compañeros.
Get us both in the picture.
Ahí para que estemos los dos en la imagen.
Oh my goodness, we're so blessed to be together. Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions.
Namaste.
You start seeing how valuable mighty companions are.
Se ve cuán valiosos son los compañeros poderosos.
Because we wanted to get rid of everybody before, and now we're inviting them in. See, it's a symbol of us inviting ourselves into our heart.
Este es un símbolo de invitarnos a nosotros mismos a través de ustedes en nuestro corazón.
So today's question is, Jesus, why is following you 100% of the time essential?
La pregunta de hoy día es, Jesús, ¿por qué escucharte el 100% del tiempo es esencial?
Because we're following our own will. Don't we want to follow our own will 100% of the time?
Porque es seguir nuestra propia voluntad. ¿Nosotros no queremos acaso seguir nuestra propia voluntad 100% del tiempo?
It's not technically our own will. It's the will of the Father, which we are his will.
No es técnicamente nuestra propia voluntad, es la voluntad del Padre. Y esa es nuestra voluntad real.
So we're given by God as God's will.
Y es dada por Dios como su voluntad.
But we took a swan dive off of the high diving board into the dream bubble.
Pero nosotros nos damos un paseo por la burbuja del sueño.
And so we need Jesus to be the clear memory of what we tried to forget.
Pero necesitamos a Jesús para que nos aclare la memoria para poder olvidar lo que haya que olvidar.
To cease to deny that we're infinite love.
Para dejar de negar que somos amor infinito.
So before we can follow Jesus 100%, we have to see how much we don't want to follow Jesus at all.
Y antes de que podamos escuchar a Jesús el 100% del tiempo, tenemos que mirar que realmente no lo queremos escuchar en absoluto.
And we start by having a conversation directly with him.
Y comenzamos teniendo una conversación directa con Él.
And if you ask him, he's going to tell you directly why you don't want to follow him.
Y si tú le preguntas, Él te va a decir directamente por qué no lo quieres escuchar.
So, and it's powerful when we come together in mighties. This is joining. Joining is for the helpfulness and the clarity of hearing the voice.
Y es poderoso cuando nos juntamos con los compañeros poderosos. Esto se trata de unirse para aprender a escucharlo.
So it's like tuning into the radio station of
No
God.
se escucha bien.
She's saying that can hear.
Okay. So, all right. Anyone else not able to hear? Can everyone else hear?
No, se escucha mal.
Karen, can you hear?
Oh.
Karen, can
No
you
se
hear?
entiende.
Doug's, can you hear?
No se entiende.
Dara can hear. All right, Dara gave us a thumbs up. How about if you can't hear? Okay, everybody who can hear, okay, give me a thumbs up if you can hear. Yeah, there's a thumbs up. It's kind of up in the air. So, Lena, you might, there's one from Doug. Wait, you were out there. Okay, so sometimes if you just leave and come back out, you'll find that you can hear. And then test your audio settings.
Si alguien tiene...
Oh, she won't build it. Yeah, send her a messenger because she can't hear me.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Paula, it's so good.
Se ve oscura la pantalla de Kay.
Ay, no ve tan. She's not,
Allá.
she's not seeing.
Yep. So, yep. Someone, let's see. Maybe, yes. So Maria, can you or Melly send a message to Lena to let her know she has to leave the meeting and come back so she can hear?
I just sent it to her, I'll translate it into Spanish.
Yeah, that's a good idea because she won't know it. She won't know what it means.
Can Paula hear?
Yes, I think she can hear.
Yeah.
Is everybody else here? Or you give us a thumbs up. So back to infinite. Gives us a
Volvamos
thumbs
al,
up.
al infinito.
Okay, it takes a team. That's what Jesus is saying. Awakening is a team sport.
Eso es lo que Jesús dice. Despertar es un deporte en equipo.
He is using everything for us, everything in consciousness that we would use to say no to love. He's going to use that so we can see where we're saying no.
Él va a usar todo lo que aparezca en la conciencia para que veamos que estamos diciendo que no a su guía.
So we're talking about following him 100%.
Así que estamos hablando de aprender a escucharlo 100% del tiempo.
So consciousness is a play of making exceptions.
La conciencia es un juego de hacer excepciones.
See, by not following him 100%, we're saying 2% of death is okay.
De no escucharlo 100% del tiempo, estamos diciendo, si lo escucho 2%, un poco de infierno está bien.
1% of not following
1% de no seguirlo
is still death.
sigue siendo la muerte.
See, it's denying like this infinite love and then saying, no, sorry, I'll only take, if I do 98%, that's all that God gives me.
Y es como tenerle el amor infinito y decirle, no,
See,
el 99% de la guía es lo que Dios me dio, no es suficiente.
that means we're cutting ourselves short. We're cutting ourselves off of like a piece of the pie.
Es como si nos estuviésemos cortando a nosotros mismos en pedacitos.
Like, God's given us a whole pie and we're going to take like a little slice of that.
Jesús nos da todo un pie completo, un pastel, y nosotros queremos solamente un pedacito.
No, we're going for the whole enchilada here.
No, vamos por toda la enchilada aquí.
Like we would go to Thanksgiving in the United States and like fight over who gets the best pizza turkey.
Can you-
Okay, so that's okay. So in the United States, we have Thanksgiving Day, which is tomorrow.
Hay el Día de Gracias en Estados Unidos, que es
Okay.
mañana.
And mom comes out with the big turkey to serve everyone.
Y mamá aparece con un gran pavo para servir a la familia.
And we're going to get in a fight over which piece of white meat we get.
Y después vamos a entrar en una pelea acerca de qué pedazo vamos a tomar.
We're the turkey. We're the whole thing. And we would take the scraps.
¿Y dónde está todo el pavo entero si nosotros estamos tomando pedacitos?
So we can all hear Jesus. So you just ask him, Jesus, if I'm not following you 100%, am I just taking the scraps?
Y podemos preguntarle a Jesús, si yo no te escucho el 100% de las veces, ¿estoy conformándome con lo menos, un poco?
We're 100% spirit.
Nosotros somos 100% espíritu.
We can't, it's impossible. There's nothing other than 100% spirit.
Es imposible, no hay nada más porque somos 100% espíritu.
So when we make exceptions like, oh, this time, I don't have to follow.
Y cuando hacemos excepciones, como, por ejemplo, esta vez no lo voy a seguir.
That's 100% dive into hell.
Eso es sumergirse 100% en el infierno.
In the dream, we just put our head inside the dream like this and go, oh, this looks pretty good down here.
Nosotros ponemos la cabeza de lleno en la burbuja del sueño y decimos, oh, que está oscuro.
The babuja loca.
The crazy bubble.
We just said that being crazy is okay.
Nosotros estamos diciendo, estar loco está bien.
So Jesus is the one that's got to line us up to the Father, all the love that God has for us.
Y Jesús es quien nos alinea para reconocer todo el amor que el Padre nos está dando.
So, and then Michael is asking these great questions. I love these questions.
Y Michael preguntó esta pregunta que me encanta.
Because I get to ask Jesus and hear what he says.
Porque podemos preguntarle a Jesús, a ver qué dice.
So the first question was, if we're going to follow him 100%, we got to know that we're talking to him.
I'm not sure.
If we're going to follow Jesus 100%, we got to know we're talking to him.
Si vamos a seguir a Jesús 100% del tiempo, tenemos que saber que le estamos hablando a él.
Well, he's talking to us 100% of the time.
Bueno, Él nos está hablando el 100% del tiempo.
So that's not the challenge.
No se
Entonces, no-
entiende.
Let's see.
She doesn't understand.
Okay, you want to say
Es-
it again?
Is who? Lina. Lina have problems of connection.
No se entiende.
Yeah, Lena, we can't try to get on your phone. Tell her to try her phone.
Lina, ¿me escuchas? Tienes que volver a ingresar.
Oh, there she goes. No. Oh, Lena. Okay. Yeah, try a different device if you can't jump on. Just try a different one.
Lina, intenta un aparato distinto si es que tú no estás pudiendo ingresar desde este.
Or you can also listen because we're live on YouTube.
Ah, o puedes ver a YouTube porque está en vivo.
Of course, she still can't hear that. Okay, so we have to know when we're hearing Jesus.
Tenemos que saber cuándo estamos escuchando a Jesús.
He's telling me directly, you have to want to hear me.
Él me está diciendo directamente, tú debes querer escucharme.
See, so when he wrote the course, he didn't say, God, the voice for God speaks to me part of the day.
Y él cuando dictó el curso de milagros, él nos dijo, Dios me habla a veces en el momento, en algún momento del día.
He said, the voice for God speaks to me throughout the day.
Él dijo, la voz de Dios me habla todo el día.
And he's telling me directly, and he's told me so many times, I must need to hear it a lot.
Y me está diciendo, y me dice todo el día, yo te estoy hablando siempre.
That everyone can hear his voice clearly who chooses it.
Y que todo el mundo puede escuchar su voz claramente si lo escoge.
So part of that is saying, I am not going to listen to the other voice.
Y parte de esto es decir, yo no voy a escuchar más a la otra voz.
And then what he taught me I check in with him and just to have discernment and go, is this really you, Jesus?
Yo empiezo a chequear, a tener el discernimiento para preguntarle a Jesús, ¿eres tú?
Because we're feeding off of that other voice. We love it. The consciousness loves it.
Porque nosotros le damos alimento a la otra voz. La alimentamos todo el tiempo en la conciencia.
That's why this going with him on desires is so helpful.
Por eso es que ir y mirar con él los deseos es tan útil.
Because it turns us into the happy learner.
Porque él nos está enseñando a ser unos alumnos felices.
Because every time we see a desire and we can look with Jesus to release it to a miracle.
Porque en cualquier momento podemos ir con Jesús, mirar un deseo para pedir un milagro.
We're going to hear him clearer.
Y ahí lo vamos a escuchar claramente.
Because every desire is a desire not to hear that voice.
Porque cada deseo es un deseo de no escuchar su voz.
So we have to know, he's saying, you have to know you have infinite power to hear my voice.
Él dice, debes saber que tienes el poder infinito para escuchar mi voz.
You know, it seems for a time that it's something outside of you.
Y parece ser por un momento que es algo externo a ti mi voz.
But it's the call to love and the answer to love's call inside yourself answering.
Pero es tu propia llamada interior al amor.
It's just that we want to kill it.
Es
The play.
es solamente que intentamos matarla.
So the play of consciousness is not however consciousness works, it's a play to try to kill the light and the voice for God out of awareness.
Y el juego de la conciencia consiste en intentar expulsar la voz de Dios afuera de la conciencia.
By having little thought wars in there and warring with little thoughts.
Y mantenerse distraído con pequeños pensamientos.
So we have to go down with him to desires which power the thoughts.
Tenemos que ir profundamente con él a ver estos deseos.
So I can share how he's really helped me a lot.
Yo les puedo mostrar cómo él realmente me ha estado ayudando a mí.
Because I definitely didn't even want to be talking to Jesus.
Porque yo definitivamente no quería hablar con Jesús.
I didn't even know that was his voice speaking to me when I first heard it.
Yo ni siquiera sabía que era su voz cuando él me hablaba al principio,
because he knows I would have run the other way.
porque él sabe que de otra manera nosotros vamos a escapar.
But finally, when we finally admit,
Pero cuando finalmente admitimos,
and just notice there's light, and light is always here, light.
y solo darte cuenta que la luz está siempre aquí.
Everyone can see it.
Todos pueden verla.
Well, it's not so easy. It took me a while because I didn't want to see it.
Iba a decir que es fácil, pero no es tan fácil porque me costó
You know,
un rato verlo.
He can break even the tough cases. He can open up even the toughest cases. Don't want to talk to him. The toughest, the hardest ones to crack. He can crack them.
Él puede abrir los corazones de los que no quieran escuchar.
He can open everyone up.
A todo el mundo.
So finally, when we keep looking and noticing that infinite light, the holy instant is here.
Nos mantenemos mirando y reconociendo que la luz infinita, el instante santo, está aquí.
And we can pretend as much as we want that the holy instant is not here.
Y podemos pretender el tiempo que queramos que eso no está presente.
And if you haven't noticed the holy instant, it's just a play, and you can go get lesson 33 and 34 in that, or no, lesson 44 in 189. Thank you, Jesus.
Podemos notar en las lecciones 44 y 44
Lesson 44 and 189.
y 139.
You know, and these little gems come up during A Course in Miracles where you contemplate light.
Estas pequeñas invitaciones del curso Milagro en que contemples directamente la luz.
You're that.
Tú eres eso.
But the play of consciousness is to try to obscure that.
Y el juego de la conciencia va a intentar oscurecer ese hecho.
But through noise and sounds and all the light show of consciousness.
Va a poner sonidos, ruido y todo tipo de distracciones de la conciencia.
So he works through contrast, the light, seeing that the light is here.
Nosotros trabajamos por contraste. La luz está aquí.
And every time we pause for a moment and notice the light's always here.
Y nosotros podemos pausar el momento y reconocer la luz está aquí.
It's not going anywhere, it stays.
Y no se va a ninguna parte, siempre está presente.
You can notice it doesn't have a beginning or an end.
Y lo puedes mirar, tiene un principio y un final.
So when you hear and you notice the light and you ask the question, is there a beginning or ending to this light?
Y tú cuando notas que la luz está aquí, puedes hacer la pregunta, ¿tiene un principio o un final esta luz?
And there's something inside that just, no, it doesn't have a beginning or an end.
Y algo en tu interior te dice, no, no tiene principio ni final.
That noticing, that's the voice.
Y nota, esa es la luz.
That's the voice.
Esa es.
Everyone can see it.
Y todos pueden verlo.
Like my 7-year-old niece.
Como mi sobrina de 7 años.
Like she saw it immediately and she goes, I said, what do you see in the light?
Y ella lo vio inmediatamente y yo le pregunté, ¿y qué ves en la luz?
All is forgiven.
Y dijo, todo ha sido perdonado.
You know, I was the tougher student because Jesus kept pointing to it. And then it took me 2 years before I finally looked and said, oh, okay, that's here.
Me tomó 2 años poder reconocer, oh, cierto, la luz está aquí.
Because consciousness is a play to obscure the obvious.
Porque la conciencia es un juego de oscurecer lo obvio.
So the light is obvious.
Entonces la luz es una obviedad.
Okay, and consciousness is to make it not obvious.
Y la conciencia hace parecer que no es obvia.
Okay, and you notice the light is all or none. The light doesn't have a light switch and go out. It's always there when we notice.
Y la luz siempre está encendida, no tiene un switch de apagado.
Infinite, unchanging.
Infinito y que no cambia.
Okay, so then there's like Muji says, and then. So you see the light and then there's and then.
Y tú, entonces, como dice Muji, hay una luz y luego, and then.
And then. Like the big exception comes up. It's
ya, hay una luz, pero sale una duda.
And everyone goes up in satsang and says to Muji, I see the lights here, but.
Y todos en el satsang de Muji iban y le decían, veo la luz, pero
The but is the entirety of consciousness coming up with a reason not to be light, not to be it.
el pero es la conciencia saliendo con todas sus razones de por qué la luz no está aquí.
So if you want it badly enough, he's always talking to you.
Si tú lo quieres lo suficiente, te vas a dar cuenta que él siempre te está hablando.
So we're playing all these games of being afraid to talk to him and that we can't hear him.
Y nosotros jugamos estos juegos de que tengo miedo de escucharlo, de que no puedo escucharlo.
So somehow inside the decision comes into mind where you're gonna listen.
En alguna parte de la mente hay una decisión que dice, yo no quiero escucharlo.
Because we see that there is no way out. We're lost without him.
Porque veremos que no hay ninguna manera de perder con él.
We're lost in this cafeteria of consciousness with all the options of yummy things to eat and taste and do.
Nos perdemos en este juego de la conciencia con todas las opciones sabrosas y atractivas que hay
To dive in the dream.
para sumergirse en el sueño.
So how do you know you're talking to him?
Entonces, ¿cómo sabes que le estás hablando a él?
You start listening really carefully.
Comienza a escuchar muy atentamente
And you join with your mighties because it will bring the clarity.
y únete con tus compañeros porque ellos van a ser quienes te traigan la claridad.
It can't even be overemphasized, the power that he's giving us through joining with each other.
No podemos hacer suficiente énfasis en el hecho de lo poderoso que significa unirse con los compañeros.
This is simply one of the most important teachings in A Course in Miracles.
Esta simplemente es una de las más importantes enseñanzas en un curso de milagros.
Is joining.
El unirse
For undoing the idea of a personal identity.
para deshacer la idea de la identidad personal
And for hearing the voice.
y para escuchar la voz.
And coming together is the undoing of a personal identity.
Y juntarse es deshacer la identidad personal.
So so that's the first thing. You come together with your brother and learn to listen.
Entonces eso es lo primero. Vienes y te juntas a tu hermano, te unes a tu hermano y escuchas.
And you'll see it in the joining with Joining Express.
Y tú puedes ver en las uniones, con las uniones express,
That's where beings can come together. If you want to be part of Joining Express, there are beings that have volunteered to be available to join.
vas a ver que hay seres que están voluntarios para participar en uniones.
We have it on the WhatsApp group for Spanish and Facebook group for English.
Tenemos el grupo de WhatsApp en español y en inglés.
And also I suggest that you also record those sessions.
Y les sugiero que puedan grabar esas sesiones.
Like Christopher and Walter and Melly, they were recording their sessions.
Como Christopher, Walter, Melly estaban grabando las sesiones.
Because even you won't see how clear you are until you go back and look again sometimes.
Porque tú no vas a darte cuenta cuán claro es hasta que vuelvas y miras ese video.
And you can start hearing Jesus coming through in powerful ways through your brother.
Cuando veas a Jesús hablándote de una manera poderosa a través de tu hermano.
So it's practicing, practice hearing Jesus.
Esto se trata de prácticas, mucho práctica.
So that's the 90-day program
Y de eso se trata el programa de 90 días.
where you just practicing talking to Jesus all day long.
Es practicar hablar a Jesús todo el día.
Now, the other part of following, this is this is where we want to wiggle out.
Luego,
Wiggle. Like
void.
yeah, void.
Ahora, esta es la otra parte que nosotros vamos a evadir.
Okay. And that is the part where we hear the voice and then we follow the voice.
Y esto consiste en la parte en que escuchamos la voz y elegimos seguir esa voz.
Because we let those buts come up so fast to object and come up with all the reasons why we can't follow the voice.
Porque aparecen de inmediato esos peros que quieren impedir la expresión de la voz.
So here's a little trick that he taught me.
Y ahora aquí hay un pequeño truco que él me enseñó.
As soon as you hear the voice and then there'll become a bunch of becauses. I can't do this because.
Y cuando tú escuches la voz y ves que aparecen estos peros que te digan, no puedes escuchar la voz.
Okay, so divine being doesn't have a because to it. It just is.
Date cuenta de que el ser divino no tiene excusas, no tiene peros. Él es.
Okay, so that's the first thing that we have to learn, that Jesus doesn't have a why. There's not a why in what he asks us to do. There's no why in it.
Why?
There's no reason. There's no reason why.
Ah, ok. Vamos a ver que Jesús no tiene unas razones, unos motivos.
Okay, it's divine expression.
Él simplemente es la expresión de la divinidad.
And then the consciousness is construction to object, to come up with every objection to object to divine expression.
La conciencia es este juego de objetar, de negar cualquier expresión divina.
And it'll be like, I have to take care of this, but see, the little but comes up, but I have to take care of this, but I have to do that, but.
Y va a ser siempre con los peros. Hay que hacer esto, pero, y yo tengo que hacer esto, pero.
So the only way to hear the voice more is to follow it continually and consistently.
Y la única forma de escuchar cada vez más es seguirlo constantemente y consistentemente.
And how do you know you're hearing it? Is you step into joinings with the reflections in your mind that are very clear on hearing Jesus.
Y como sabes que lo estás escuchando, te vas a unir y vas a ver lo que te refleja a tu hermano, que es la expresión de la voz de Jesús.
The way the ego plays, it's going to go find and join with less clear, like the ones that will tell it what it wants to hear.
Can you repeat that, please?
Well, the ego plays by having companions, having like friends.
El juego del ego consiste en que tener los compañeros poderosos es tener amigos.
And it'll go look for a friend that will agree with it.
Y él va a ir en búsqueda de un amigo que esté de acuerdo con él.
In a true joining, then you're going to go really deep with Jesus to clear all the objections to what he's telling you to do.
Y en la verdadera unión, Jesús te va a mostrar todas las resistencias, las negaciones que tienes para seguir su voz.
So in the questions that he gave me that were so helpful to ask to make sure it was him.
Y él me dio unas preguntas, un cuestionario para preguntarle a él.
I would ask Jesus, is accepting this invitation acceptance of all the love the Father has for me?
Y yo le pregunté, Jesús, ¿acepto la invitación, todo el amor que tiene para mí?
And if it's not that, then that's not, you see, he's pointing to alignment with divine will.
Él no está apuntando a que nos alineemos con la voluntad divina
For supreme happiness.
para la felicidad suprema.
Now, at first, it doesn't feel like supreme happiness to do some of these things.
Y ahora, no se siente como felicidad divina empezar a hacer estas cosas.
Because the ego's made to object to everything Jesus suggests.
Porque el ego va a objetar todo el tiempo lo que Jesús diga.
So part of it is saying no. You have to say no to the ego. No, I'm following Jesus.
Y parte de esto es decir no, decirle que no al ego. Yo voy a seguir a Jesús.
So the way you can hear him is you're practicing with your mighty companions with the Joining in Light worksheet.
Así que la manera de seguirlo es uniéndote a tus compañeros en la hoja de trabajo de la luz.
And sometimes you're journaling or writing things, you don't even realize how clear you hear the voice.
A veces cuando uno está escribiendo se puede dar cuenta y recién cuán claramente está escuchando a su voz.
And how powerful it is till you go back and read it.
Y cuán poderoso es volver y mirar, leer eso de nuevo.
So it's practicing, it's writing what you think you're hearing.
Entonces practicar es escribir lo que estás escuchando.
And it's making no exceptions to the following.
Y no hacer ninguna excepción a seguir la guía.
But as the desires are cleared out, like if you go through chapter 20 and you're really diligent.
Can you repeat?
If you go through chapter 20 and you're very diligent, you're very committed to chapter 20,
Si vas al capítulo 20 y te comprometes con ese capítulo 20,
he's giving that as a tool to learn to speak with him and be guided by him directly to the desire to deny hearing him.
Él te va a guiar y te va a entrenar directamente para que aprendes con él a mirar estos deseos.
It's so valuable to do it every day, but the ego is going to go, no, sorry, I can't look at desires with Jesus every day.
Es muy valioso ver esto con Jesús todos los días, pero el ego va a tener su pero y va a decir, no puedo todos los días.
See, I knew I wasn't following him all the time, but I also knew that if I worked with him to clear the desire to deny, then I'd hear him better.
Yo, si trabajo con él todos los días y veo los deseos que tengo de negarlo, voy a ver que puedo escuchar mejor.
And then you start finding you don't want to follow that other voice.
Y luego te vas a dar cuenta que realmente no quieres escuchar la otra voz.
Because we're talking about infinite divinity here.
Porque estamos hablando de luz infinita aquí.
So if we want to hear the voice, you can check in with him. I can't tell you the number of times I've checked in with Jesus. Okay, let me see if I have this clear, Jesus.
Si quieres escuchar a Jesús, tienes que preguntarle. No sabes la cantidad de veces que yo he cuestionado, objetado para preguntarle, Jesús, ¿esto es?
And you start getting love cuddles. You just, because you're turning into yourself to refer to all that you are.
Can you repeat the last?
You're turning inward toward the truth of who you are when you listen to that voice.
Tú te empiezas a convertir en lo que realmente eres cuando comienzas a escuchar esta voz.
Rather than following death.
Dejar de escucharlo es como la muerte.
He's telling me now, he's saying, look, you can also ask me, is to not accept this invitation, is that death?
Y él me está diciendo ahora mismo, no aceptar la invitación que te ofrezco es la muerte.
See, when we don't follow him, we're choosing to be dead.
Si no lo estamos siguiendo, estamos escogiendo morir.
You know, we make it really nice and say it's not a problem, but we have to be really clear when we're not following him, we're choosing death.
Y bueno, nosotros parecemos que lo vemos así como muy simpático todo esto, pero realmente cuando no elegimos seguirlo, es escoger la muerte.
We try to wrap up, I'll talk to you later, Jesus, in a nice package.
Y le decimos a Jesús, mejor te hablo después otro día y te guardo aquí por mientras.
But he needs us, we need to see that there is nothing nice about that.
Y tenemos que ver que realmente no hay nada simpático, agradable sobre esto.
It's self-abuse.
Es como autoabuso.
So 100%, God, that's like saying, if we don't follow Jesus 100%,
si no seguimos a Jesús el 100% del tiempo,
that's saying God didn't make us 100% perfect.
Es como decir que Dios no me hizo 100% perfecto.
You know, and God doesn't work that way. He can only make perfect.
Y Dios no funciona de esa manera. Él crea todo perfecto.
So 100% is climbing the stairway to heaven.
Así que 100% es como preparar el camino al cielo.
Oh, speaking of which, are you singing tonight?
Yes.
Oh, very nice. He's going to sing for us at the end. That's the bonus program.
Vamos a cantar hoy día.
I asked Jesus if I can talk about this because it's so beautiful.
Le pregunté a Jesús si puedo hablar de esto porque es muy hermoso.
This is listening and following.
Esto es escuchar y seguir.
So Christopher's like here for, I don't know, less than a week or something. He doesn't speak English so much.
Y Christopher está aquí hace no tanto tiempo y no habla mucho inglés. Yo.
But he listened when Jesus said, okay, you're going to start translating.
Pero él escuchó cuando Jesús dijo, ya, tú vas a empezar a traducir.
It's just, this is when we're in our function.
Y esto es seguir nuestra función interior.
You know, you don't have to know anything. It's such a great demonstration. We don't have to know anything.
Nosotros no tenemos que saber nada, esa es la gran demostración. No necesitas saber nada.
He's going to give us everything.
Y Él nos va a dar todo.
So Christopher, now assemble in our mind that you don't have to know English to translate.
Y ahora, Christopher es el símbolo de que no necesitas saber nada.
And he doesn't need it. And Dyer is another one who'll test to that. If you just listen, he'll start speaking the same stereo.
Y Daira es otro ejemplo, que ella simplemente escucha y habla.
You know, it's just when we're in function, it's all is given.
Cuando nosotros estamos alineados con la función, todo se nos da.
See, we're with him 100% when we say yes to what he's asking us to do.
Y cuando estamos con Él, en 100%, Él nos va a decir qué hacer.
I'm asking, and yes, so Jesus, we really need to stand into the objections to following.
Le digo, Jesús, realmente tenemos que evitar estas objeciones para seguirte.
And he says, yes, you have to stand into it.
Y Él dice, sí, tienes que hacerlo, tienes que evitar estas objeciones.
There isn't another way around that.
No hay otra forma.
Because consciousness is it repeatedly wants to avoid hearing Jesus and following Jesus.
Porque la conciencia siempre va a querer evadir la guía de Jesús.
And then there's so much pain and suffering.
Y eso solamente nos da dolor y sufrimiento.
So you can ask him, Jesus, is not following you leading to a lot of unnecessary pain and suffering?
Tú puedes preguntarle a Jesús, ¿no seguirte me da un sufrimiento y un dolor innecesario?
I'm asked. So sometimes I can't remember where I read things, so I have to ask him. Where did I read that?
Ajá.
Sometimes I can't remember where I read something, so I have to ask him.
A veces no me acuerdo de cuando leí algo, así que tengo que preguntarle.
And when you see you go in and ask him, you just get a love cuddle.
Cuando vas y le preguntas, vas a sentir como un abracito amoroso.
So I remember reading, and he's telling me it's in the course, the purpose of the Spirit is to reduce pain and suffering.
Y me está acordando esta frase que le leí en el curso. El propósito de seguirme es reducir el dolor y el sufrimiento.
To minimize it.
Al mínimo.
But the ego is going to protest and claim you're going to die and this horrible stuff is going to happen.
Pero luego empieza con sus frases, tú vas a morir y van a pasar cosas terribles.
At first, it's going to feel not so good because we've made it not to feel good to be ourselves.
Y esto no se siente bien porque nosotros creamos esa experiencia de no sentirnos bien.
But you just keep standing into it. Stand saying, no, I'm going to follow what he says.
Y nosotros tenemos que mantenernos firmes, decirle, no, yo voy a seguir lo que Jesús me dice.
Because every time we don't follow, we're trying to make exceptions on what God made perfect.
Cada vez que no lo elegimos seguir, estamos haciendo excepciones sobre lo que es perfecto.
So the question is, how do you know that you are following Jesus?
Entonces la pregunta es, ¿cómo sabes que estás siguiendo a Jesús?
I ask him.
Le pregunto.
I say, Jesus, have I been following you?
Le pregunto, Jesús, ¿te he estado siguiendo?
Now, and this is the frozen chicken story.
Y esta es como la historia del pollito
frozen.
congelado.
I don't know if it was frozen or fresh. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was frozen or fresh, but it's the Walmart chicken story, we'll call it.
Es como la historia del pollito congelado en Walmart.
So I just had walked through Walmart and was just buying all this food.
Y yo estaba yendo a Walmart y compré comida.
He's telling me, you know when you're not following.
Él me dice, tú sabes cuando no me estás siguiendo.
He's saying, you're pretending like you don't know when you're following, but if you really look, you do know.
Tú pretendes que tú no sabes, pero realmente tú sabes.
So, you know, I'm asking, okay, do I buy this? What about this? What about this?
Entonces yo le pregunto, ¿qué hay sobre esto y sobre esto y sobre esto?
And so I came to this chicken and I bought the chicken.
Entonces fui y compré este pollo.
But I could feel it. I can feel it now. It wasn't in guidance to buy that chicken.
Y yo puedo sentirlo y me doy cuenta ahora mismo que no era su guía comprar el pollo.
So at the end, after the shop, I said, Jesus, okay, was I following you every time? And he said, no, you bought that chicken.
Entonces al final de la compra yo estaba ahí y le pregunté a Jesús, ¿esto está en guía? Y me dijo, no, tú compraste ese pollo.
It's, but it's just a lesson. It's not like the Spirit comes in and whomps us. It's not going to punish us or hit us. It's not going to come and hit us with a stick.
Y es solamente como lección de guía, porque no es que el Espíritu Santo venga y te dé un martillazo por no seguir su guía o te castigue.
You know, it's seeing that was not an expression of divine love to do that. It wasn't in purpose. It wasn't for holy purpose.
Es solamente que Él nos está enseñando cómo seguir su guía para que sea una expresión divina. Que todas las cosas que hagamos estén alineadas con esa expresión divina.
So I just asked him, I said, Jesus, so buying that chicken was dancing with the devil? You can hear it. You ask him, you'll hear it too. Was that dancing with the devil, buy that chicken?
Y yo le pregunté a Jesús, comprar ese pollo es como bailar con el diablo. Y dice, puedes preguntarle tú a ver qué escuchas.
You didn't even have to be on that shopping trip with me, and you know it was dancing with the devil.
Ni siquiera necesitas haber ido a comprar el pollo conmigo para que escuche que yo estaba bailando con el diablo.
But and he'll tell you that when you're watching movies, you know, whether what in the movie is dancing with the devil and what's following guidance.
Y él te puede mostrar incluso en las películas, cuando en alguna parte él te puede decir que lo que está sucediendo es un baile con el diablo o no.
So he constantly is telling me now what's in guidance and what's not in guidance.
Y él constantemente nos está diciendo qué está en la guía y qué no está en la guía.
You know, it's not to judge if some play in consciousness is not guidance. It's for discernment for me.
No se trata de juzgar lo que hacemos o lo que no hacemos, sino simplemente aprender a seguir esa guía.
And now I'm 100% sure that the kingdom of heaven depends on 100% yes, Jesus.
Y preguntamos, Jesús, ¿el cielo depende 100% de que sigamos la guía?
Like our little symbol here that we laugh about, but it's true. When Jesus says something, we go straight up. Yes, sir.
Y tenemos un pequeño símbolo aquí que a veces nos reímos, pero cuando Jesús nos dice algo, nosotros le decimos, sí, señor.
Because the play of consciousness is to be determined not to hear or follow Jesus.
Porque el juego de la conciencia es determinar, no voy a seguir a Jesús.
So once we admit that supreme happiness depends on following him in every circumstance.
Y tú puedes admitir que el cielo y la felicidad radica en seguir a Jesús 100% del tiempo.
And there's something that clicks in the mind and you just go, no, whatever you say, Jesus, I'm going to follow.
Y aunque surjan ciertas dudas en la mente, nosotros vamos a decirle, no, voy a seguir a Jesús sí o sí.
See, God, you can see in infinite light doesn't carry a stick around. It doesn't have a stick. It doesn't have a stick to hit somebody with.
Podemos ver en la luz divina que Dios no tiene como una varilla para castigarnos, un palo para pegarnos por no seguir.
The light's just here.
La luz simplemente es ahora.
Love is here in totality.
Y el amor está aquí en su totalidad.
But he's trying to save us the pain of the guilt that comes from not following our own. It's not our own, but it's not following the light.
Y luego trata de pensar que hay culpa, que hay castigo en no seguir a Jesús.
Because it takes us out of the celebration of all that is.
Porque nos saca de la celebración de todo lo que es ahora.
We're not little doers.
Nosotros no somos unos pequeños hacedores.
We're communion. We're Holy Communion.
Nosotros somos Santa Comunión.
So following him is really the only way to, he's thorough. See, he's not going to leave some little stone unturned under there.
Can you repeat that?
He's not going to leave some stone unturned. He's going to turn over all the stones to show us where we say no to God.
Él no nos va a ocultar nada, no nos va a ocultar las piedras. Él va a descubrir todo para que nosotros podamos ver dónde estamos negando su luz.
He's going to, if we allow him and open, he'll show us everything.
Si nosotros le permitimos, Él nos va a mostrar todo.
I'm asking him if it's okay to say this. He says yes, so I'm saying it.
Le pregunto si está bien que diga esto, que voy a decir, y dice, sí.
So, because like at first I said, okay, just give it to me, Jesus, you know, just give me everything.
Lo primero que uno dice es, Jesús, dame todo, dámelo todo.
And then it's like, holy smokes, what am I really getting?
Y uno dice, uy, rayos, ¿qué estoy haciendo?
But you'll see the power, divine power comes in because we're turning away from those other voices.
Y el verdadero poder lo reconocemos cuando nos damos cuenta que estamos desechando la otra voz.
And we could see it, like I could see it walking down the street. I didn't even see it before that I'd be looking over my shoulder waiting for somebody to come up and steal my purse or something.
Steal your what?
Steal my purse or something like that.
Y no me di cuenta hasta que, por ejemplo, iba caminando por la calle y vi una persona que quería robarme algo.
You start to notice that consciousness is always hunting for something. It's unsatisfiable. It can't be satisfied.
Hacer la conciencia nunca está satisfecha, siempre quiere algo, nunca está conforme.
And you start to relax, like I could relax and just goes, Jesus, do I need that? And he'd go, no.
Y es comenzar a relajarse, preguntarle a Jesús, ¿necesito esto? No.
It was such a symbol because I go to the marketplace and you see all these little trinkets and you're like a little magnet for every other little trinket, every little toy, every little shiny object.
Y es como que vamos a la tienda y nos deslumbramos por todos los objetos brillantes. Todo es atractivo para la conciencia.
That's why we're tired at the end of the day, because we're just jumping around looking at shiny objects.
Y por eso es que parecemos estar cansados al final del día, porque es como que estamos buscando todos esos objetos pequeños, brillantes.
This is a good reminder to me how much more relaxing it is just to say, Jesus, do I need that? And he says, no, good. I just don't think about it.
Esto es lo que Jesús me enseña, que a relajarme con eso, preguntarle, ¿necesito esto? Y él me dice, no.
And he even tells you, like, do I need to think about that right now? No.
O preguntarle incluso a Jesús, ¿necesito pensar sobre esto? Y él te puede decir, no.
Like Muji would say, the Holy Spirit will be your secretary.
El Muji dice, el Espíritu Santo será tu secretario.
So you can ask Jesus, will you take care of the minutia for me?
Take care of what?
The minutia.
Jesús, podemos preguntarle, ¿tú te harás cargo de todas las minucias por mí?
And hear what he says.
Y escucha lo que dice.
He told that to Helen specifically, turn it over to me.
Él le dijo a Helen específicamente, ven hacia mí.
So he's telling it to Helen, that means he's telling it to all of us too.
Y si le dice a Helen, nos está diciendo a todos nosotros.
Now, this is an important lesson with Jesus that I had to learn. I'm still learning.
Ahora, esta es una lección importante de Jesús para todos nosotros que yo estoy aprendiendo.
It is not our function to tell Jesus how the minutia is going to be handled.
No es nuestra función decirle a Jesús cómo todos los detalles se van a resolver.
That will cause a lot of suffering. I certainly, if I had an expectation on how it's handled, that was death.
Y esto me causó mucho dolor porque es como tener una expectativa de cómo va a ser. Eso es la muerte.
So if we turn things over, we have to really turn it over. If we turn things over to Jesus, we have to completely turn it over.
Si le entregamos las cosas a Jesús, tenemos que entregárselas completas.
See, we just want to give him little tiny scraps to handle. Here's a little thing you can handle, Jesus.
Porque si no es como darle un pedacito a Jesús. Ya mira, toma este pedacito y te cargo tú. Toma este pedacito.
That's so true. We give him little, okay. And then we want to choose what he's going to handle too. I can see that.
Y también queremos elegir las cosas de las que él se haga cargo.
But it's helpful because you'll see you go into a natural conversation with him. I'm talking to him all day long.
Pero es útil porque tú puedes entrar y darte cuenta que puedes tener una conversación con él en cualquier momento del día.
So ask him, just say, Jesus, is it natural for me to talk to you all day?
Y puedes preguntarle, Jesús, ¿es natural para mí hablar contigo todo el día?
See, we think it's natural to talk to those little voice, the voice that's telling us that we're bad and we're hateful and all that voice. We think that's natural.
Nosotros creemos que es natural escuchar a esta otra voz que nos habla de la muerte y del dolor y que todo va a estar mal.
It's good to be clear. That is not natural to us.
Y tiene que estar claro, esa voz es la que no es natural para nosotros.
See, it's not natural not to follow Jesus 100% of the time.
Mira, entonces no es natural no seguir a Jesús todo el tiempo.
You can ask him, Jesus, is it natural for me not to follow you 100%?
Podemos preguntarle, Jesús, ¿es natural para mí seguirte 100% del tiempo?
See, when we're not following him 100%, we're doing all kinds of unnatural things.
Y si nosotros no seguimos a Jesús el 100% del tiempo, vamos a hacer cosas antinaturales.
And we'll have a lot of unnatural suffering.
Vamos a tener un montón de sufrimiento no natural, antinatural.
We're not made to do all this minutia. Ask him, Jesus, I'm loving this conversation with him, by the way. He's reminding me, we're not made to do all that minutia.
Y él me está recordando, nosotros no estamos hechos para hacernos cargo de todos esos detalles.
But he'll use it. He'll use the minutia so we can see how we're getting involved in a lot of stuff we have no business in.
Y él usa todo esto para que nos demos cuenta de cuánto nos implicamos en estos detalles.
We follow Jesus because it's the celebration of supreme being.
Seguimos a Jesús porque es el símbolo de la celebración del Ser Supremo.
That nothing in this world has anything to do with the Son of God. We're Teflon to the world.
Que nada en este mundo tiene el poder sobre el Hijo de Dios. Nosotros somos como un sartén de teflón duro para el mundo.
We're talking about divine power here.
Estamos hablando del poder divino aquí.
Holy communion with all that is.
Comunión santa con todo lo que existe.
You know, and we're going to fight our brother over a drumstick at Thanksgiving dinner.
Can you repeat that?
We're going to fight our brother over the drumstick at Thanksgiving dinner. At Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay. Nosotros nos encanta pelear con nuestro hermano por la parte del pavo en la cena.
Oh my goodness. So then it's more we talk to Jesus, then we're the happy learner. He's teaching us everything all day long.
Y nosotros podemos ver que él nos está enseñando a ser el aprendiz, el estudiante feliz todo el día.
He'll even tell you what questions you need to ask him if you ask him.
Si tú le preguntas, incluso él te va a decir qué preguntas hacerle.
So Christopher and Melly were working on a questionnaire with Jesus from the 90-day program today.
Y Christopher y Meli estuvieron trabajando en el programa de 90 días hoy.
And then Jesus was giving them more questions to ask him.
Y Jesús les daba muchas más preguntas para preguntarle.
That's right, right?
Yeah.
He's giving, because he knows what we need. We don't even know what we need to ask him.
Porque ni siquiera sabemos qué preguntar.
But you can start by asking him everything, he says. Ask him everything.
Pero tú puedes comenzar preguntando todo. Él dice, pregúntame todo.
Because then at least we're having a conversation with him.
Porque eso es comenzar una conversación con él.
It's a symbol of laying out the welcome mat to welcome his help.
Es un símbolo de aceptar y darle la bienvenida a su ayuda.
And then admitting we don't know everything. We don't know anything, actually.
Y admitir que no sabemos nada.
And he'll even tell you why you don't want to talk to him.
Incluso él te va a decir por qué razones tú no quieres escucharlo.
Yeah, I think that questionnaire is on guidance, right? Is on why not follow guidance? Why am I not following guidance, Jesus?
El cuestionario se llama ¿por qué no estoy siguiendo la guía de Jesús?
So you can even ask him, Jesus, why am I not following guidance with you 100%?
Entonces tú puedes preguntarle, Jesús, ¿por qué no estoy siguiendo la guía al 100% del tiempo?
That is a good conversation to have.
Esa es una buena conversación para tener.
Because we don't follow him because we want to keep some little piece of personal identity intact.
Nosotros no queremos escucharlo porque eso significa que queremos tener unos pedacitos de nuestra identidad personal intactas.
So we're just keeping that little piece of hell in there,
Y ahí está el infierno en esos pedacitos.
saving the fire of hell so we can experience it some more.
Estamos cuidando el fuego del infierno para experimentarlo un poquito más.
Okay, I'm asking anything else. Let me just check here with those questions. How do I follow all the time?
Déjeme chequear las preguntas. ¿Cómo te sigo todo el tiempo?
It's a commitment. It really is commitment and vigilance to hear his voice and say, I'm not going to follow anything other than that.
Realmente esto es un compromiso, es decir a Jesús, ya, no voy a seguir nada más que tu voz.
But he knows we're like the dogs going to the vet.
Pero él sabe que nosotros somos como los perros cuando van al veterinario.
You know, you say the word vet and you got these great videos where the dog crawls under the couch.
¿Has visto como los perros cuando le dices veterinario se van a esconder en el sillón?
I'm going to put that picture. There's a really hilarious picture of these two dogs hiding under the couch and their legs are sticking out.
Hay una imagen muy graciosa de los perros cuando van a ir al veterinario, se esconden debajo del sillón con las patitas afuera.
That's how we are. You know, we want to hide from Jesus. It's just a little play. You know, we can see the dog's legs sticking out. Like Jesus knows we're still there.
Y eso es así nos comportamos con Jesús respecto a su guía, como que nos huimos de él.
So it's really, he knows the play of consciousness is to avoid him.
Y él sabe que el juego de la conciencia consiste en evadirlo.
So we just practice and we start somewhere with forgiveness. We start forgiving everything.
Y nosotros lo hacemos, nos unimos y empezamos a perdonar.
And then you'll see that over time you won't want to do anything other than follow him.
Y después verás que después de un tiempo no vas a querer hacer nada más que seguirlo.
Because he's leading you directly to the direct experience that you're divine being.
Porque él te está guiando hacia la experiencia directa de reconocer que tú eres luz.
By all the power granted to us by God.
Y que todo el poder se nos dio por Dios.
And he's asking, how do I absolve this I into I?
What means absolve?
Well, kind of dissolve, you could say. Maybe you could use that word. How do I dissolve this little I into the big I? Oh, that's pretty esoteric. Okay.
Can you say the question?
How do I... He wants to see how the little I becomes the totality. Okay.
La pregunta es, ¿cómo este pequeñito ojo se puede convertir en el gran ojo de la totalidad?
First, see that there's no I whatsoever.
Primero, date cuenta de que no hay ojo.
See that infinite light of being doesn't have an I anywhere in it.
Mira que la luz divina no tiene ningún ojo.
Okay. So that's the starting place. Start with infinite light.
Entonces, ahí comenzamos. Comenzamos con la luz infinita.
And do the light test.
Y haz la prueba de la luz.
And see if there's an I in infinite light.
Y mira si hay un ojo en la luz infinita.
You can even see if, okay, Jesus, is there an I am in infinite light?
Y puedes preguntarle a Jesús, Jesús, ¿hay un ojo en la luz
It's like
infinita?
the light doesn't know what an I is.
La luz ni sabe lo que es un ojo.
So we start with that. It doesn't know what an I is.
Comienza con eso. La luz no sabe lo que él es.
So
un
if
ojo.
there's a perception of an I experience for an I, that there's some I.
Entonces es una experiencia de un ojo, de desear que hay un ojo.
Then it's a desire to experience that.
Que es un deseo de experimentar eso.
It's a desire to fall asleep into a dream of an I.
Es un deseo de caer dormido en un sueño de un ojo.
So to dissolve that,
Para disolverlo,
we just keep looking with Jesus and forgiving the desire to be something other than light.
vamos con Jesús y le pedimos que nos muestre los deseos de ser algo distinto de la luz.
See, it's the dissolution of the idea that there is an I apart from light.
Es la disolución de la idea de que hay un ojo aparte de la luz.
So the light is the absolute reality.
Porque la luz es la realidad absoluta.
And just forgiveness, he's saying forgive, 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 and then that washes out the idea that there even is an I.
Esto se trata del perdón. Perdona, 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 para que se disuelva la idea de que hay algo más que la luz.
It's just a willingness to see that there is no I.
Es la disposición de ver que no hay un pequeño ojo.
That it was a little boo-boo in consciousness. a
Claro.
little, it's a mistaken idea. It's a miscreation.
Es simplemente una idea equivocada, es una creación falsa.
It's a dance with the devil,
Es bailar con el diablo.
but it's not real.
No es real.
So we just keep following. See, keep following and he'll show, it'll become direct experience.
Y lo seguimos y nos mantenemos siguiéndolo para que Él nos muestre qué es lo que hay.
The consciousness is a play to be anything other than light.
La conciencia es el juego de ser cualquier cosa menos la luz.
That's why we follow 100%.
Y ese es el motivo de por qué lo seguimos el 100%.
Because light's all there is.
Porque la luz es todo lo que hay.
So thank you, Jesus.
Así que muchas gracias, Jesús.
So Christopher, will you play for us?
Yes.
Okay.
Voy a compartir una canción con mucho amor para todos.
And while he's getting his guitar, tomorrow night we're going to go live again.
Mañana en la afternoon,
In the night.
mañana en la noche a las 7 vamos a tener otra reunión en vivo.
And Saturday we're going live. Saturday Night Live too.
Y en la noche también el sábado.
So, and tomorrow is why is vigilance important? Why do we have to be committed to this
Mañana-
journey?
Mañana se trata de por qué tenemos que estar comprometidos con este viaje.
So I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say about that.
Así que vamos a ver qué nos va a decir Jesús.
Okay, do you want to sit here or is that better?
Let me see.
Okay, he's gonna
That's
try it.
okay.
Okay.
Esta canción se llama Gracias y es un canto de gratitud a Jesús y a todos los hermanos, a los compañeros poderosos que surgen en la experiencia cuando uno lo llama, cuando uno lo invoca. This song is called Thank You, and is a song of gratitude for Jesus, for the brothers, the mighty companions that appear in this game, for remember the love. It's here, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Gracias por mostrarme que detrás de cada cosa hay amor. Sin ti solo vería el dolor. Cuando tú me hablaste, me enseñaste a tratar con amor. Me pides que escuche el corazón. Gracias por tu honestidad. Y gracias por dejarme olvidar. Gracias por mostrarme todo lo que guardo dentro. Todo, 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 todo lo que soy. Y lo que no. Gracias, gracias hermano, gracias amigo, por todo Gracias, Maestro. Gracias por mostrarme la luz. Yo te debo tanto por no haberte visto antes de hoy. Pero es que estoy abriendo mis ojos. Cuando yo pensaba que no había un hogar donde ir, llegaste con tus manos abiertas. Todo lo que abriste en mí es todo lo que yo pedí. Gracias por mostrarme todo lo que llevo dentro, por pedir que cante esta canción por ti. Y para ti. Gracias, gracias hermano, gracias Maestro, por todo lo que tú me das. Gracias al otro lado del mundo. Gracias Maestra, gracias por mostrarme la luz.
Wow, beautiful. Wow,
Thank you.
beautiful. Whoa. Taking it straight up, Jesus. Thank you. Wow. Oh.
Gracias,
We love you.
los amamos.
Oh, so good to see all of you. We love
Qué
you.
bueno verlos a todos. Los
See
amamos.
everybody.